a particular detective who did horrible things. But that detective also worked with prosecutors who did horrible things. And a prosecutor has now been disbarred because of these horrible things. I'm going to take you back to some reporting we did on day one about this detective. Here it is. We've been reporting on this SOB detective for months. Let's put his picture up. Now he's indicted. We're talking about Roger Golubski. This is evil personified. For decades, this man utilized his authority as a police officer, a detective, a supervisor.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. This is video 2 of 3 today. We've got a live later. I cancelled the live last night. I had to do some things. But yes, we're back on this evening, so keep your eyes peeled. But we're talking about something different in video 2. We did speak about the Idaho 4 case earlier on today. Go check that out as we spoke about the interview room and their bias. But we're talking about Terra Morehead. Do you know who that is? Well, you know when we talk about potential cover-ups and stuff like that and corruption, and people just accuse you of being a tinfoil hat wearing person, you're talking shit. What you're talking about? These sort of things don't exist. You make them up to push your narrative that someone who is accused of being a killer couldn't possibly be because of all these things that exist in your brain. Well, let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look. So, Kansas prosecutor who framed innocent man surrenders law license will soon be disbarred. And there is the person. Lovely, lovely picture. Lovely little brooch there. Nice hair from what appears to be the 1980s. Terra Morehead, who retired as a federal prosecutor last August, has agreed to turn over her law license as part of an agreement with the Kansas Disciplinary Board. As a Wyandotte County prosecutor in the 1990s, Morehead helped KCKPD Detective Roger Golubski frame an innocent man who spent 23 years in prison. Terra Morehead, a long-term county and federal prosecutor who helped police frame at least one innocent man, has agreed to surrender her law license and faces disbarment. Morehead, who became notorious for skirting legal protections for defendants, agreed to surrender her license as part of an agreement with the Kansas Board for Discipline of Attorneys. She is awaiting disbarment from the Kansas Supreme Court, according to court filings. The documents also show that Morehead, who retired from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Kansas last August, was the subject of a federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice. The result of that probe is unknown. Morehead's conduct came under scrutiny during the exoneration of Lamonte McIntyre, who was convicted in 1994 of a double homicide when he was 17. McIntyre was freed in 2017 after Wyandotte County District Attorney Mark Dupree said his conviction was a manifest injustice, and a judge dropped the case. McIntyre sued and was awarded $12.5 million in 2022 by the Unified Government of Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte. I'm probably killing that county for wrongful conviction. Acting on a case built by disgraced former Kansas City, Kansas police detective Roger Golubski, Morehead presented no physical evidence tying McIntyre to the murders. She relied upon the testimony of a witness, Nico Quinn, who later recanted. Quinn said Morehead threatened to throw her in jail and take her children if she didn't lie about what she saw on the day of the double homicide. Morehead also failed to disclose that she had a past romantic relationship with the judge on the case. Quinn reached Tuesday said she is glad authorities are finally starting to clean up problems in the criminal justice system. Quinn and 4 other black women have filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the unified government, alleging that officials permitted an open and notorious police protection racket to victimize the black community. Morehead's actions may be added to the federal lawsuit, Quinn said. She said Morehead's career had profited from her suffering. This is the beginning of my dreams, Quinn said, because I want her dreams. Morehead's attorney didn't return an email seeking comment on Tuesday. Golubski faces a federal trial this fall on charges that he violated the civil rights of several black women and in a separate case protected a KCK drug dealer who was running a sex trafficking operation for underage girls. He is currently on home arrest and was recently chided by a federal magistrate for violating his arrest conditions by going to a fast food place. After her tenure in the Wyandotte County's DA office, Morehead moved to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Kansas, where she became embroiled in other alleged ethical breaches and was removed from criminal cases in 2021. Morehead was criticized in a U.S. Department of Justice investigation after a federal judge in 2017 tossed a defendant's conviction on drugs charges. In a rare public admonishment, U.S. District Judge Julie Robinson ruled that Morehead had interfered with a defendant's Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial and found that Morehead had substantially interfered with the defense witness's decision to testify in the case. A March 20th filing with the Kansas Supreme Court, signed by Alice Walker, Deputy Disciplinary Administrator for the Kansas Board for Discipline of Attorneys, asks the court to forgo an April pre-hearing and a May formal hearing because Morehead had agreed to surrender her license to practice law. The disciplinary board recommended that the High Court accept it. The court approved the request and is now expected to issue a formal disbarment, which is standard practice under Kansas Supreme Court rules when an attorney surrender their law license. The state board also told the High Court that Morehead had been the subject of an investigation by the Office of Professional Responsibility for the U.S. Department of Justice, but doesn't say what that found. So, before people are quick to jump and say that these sort of things just don't happen, they simply don't happen, let's just remember, yes they do. They do happen. Judges can be involved, prosecutors can be involved, police can be involved, and whenever there are fantastic people, fantastic places, fantastic entities that do fantastic work, sadly, there is a flip side to that coin. And there are elements of all the aforementioned that can ruin a bunch, because they're just bent as a 2-bob bit. I'll catch you all in tonight's live.